This is Latoya of Infinitenature, and I am back with a new video on the sacred contracts revisited. Hello everyone, this is Latoya. Once again, I'm back with a video on the sacred contracts. About a few years ago, it was in 2017, I made my last video about the sacred contracts. I had read the book again. I was starting to read the book again, and I wanted to share the insights that I was experiencing from the book. At that time, I believe I was maybe on my second or third time of reading the book, but then I realized that I needed some more time. One thing I will say about the Sacred Contracts by Caroline Myss, I believe that's how you pronounce her last name, hopefully that is that it is a very interactive book, and that it's not a book that you just breeze through. It's a book that you take in, and it can take a while to really grasp it. Sometimes I know for me, it took a while for me to grasp it. This is like my third, maybe fourth time that I have read this book. But this time when I read it, I've really been doing all of the interactive questions within the book, and I've been gaining so much insight. And I believe that has a lot to do with, sometimes you have to revisit a book, go through some things, read other books, go through your own personal experiences, and then come back to a book, and then you're ready for it. Because I'm a book lover, and sometimes you have to, stop reading a book and then go to another book. Like, that's just how it is sometimes. And I just feel like you just have to go with what your heart tells you to read. And sometimes you don't need to read nothing. You need to just sit with all the information that has been given to you, all of the messages that you receive, all the experiences that you've gone through, and just sit with that and gain insight that way. So, like I said before, I revisited this book once again at the end of 2019. As a matter of fact, the last time I have a notebook specifically for this book, and the last time before I started to pick it up again last year in 2019, the last time I documented notes in that notebook, in the notebook that I have, is on January 30th of 2017. So now we're in January, and the date that I'm recording this is on the 26th of January 2020. I started to make notes once again on November 24th, 2019. And what made me want to pick up this book again is that I started to read a book called Radical Forgiveness. And that book is an amazing book, and it's very insightful, and it's just amazing how much I was able to take in from that book. And in the book, they reference the author references. I'm sorry, I forgot his first name, but I think his last name is Tippin. So forgive me, I don't remember. There's so many books I read. I focus more so on the on the book title or content versus the authors. To be honest, 'cause I read so many books. But like I was saying before, I was reading Radical Forgiveness, and in the book Radical Forgiveness, the author references sacred contracts, and I was like, let me pick up that book again. So after I got finished reading Radical Forgiveness, which I highly recommend, um, then but once I finished the Radical Forgiveness book, I went back to Sacred Contracts and started reading it, and I was very drawn in, and I just felt compelled to like really do the like the questions within the book, and I did it, and my whole notebook is almost filled up because of that. So it's quite amazing. And as I was reading the book and going through like going doing meditations, I should say, I started to see archetypes. I saw one of my archetypes within a meditation, and it freaked me out because it was a scary it was a very it was one of my it was a shadow it was a shadow, what I consider a shadowy view of seeing that seeing that. And I might go into more details later on, because this is a part one, just so you know, of Sacred Contracts Revisited. This is part one. So it kind of freaked me out, and then I realized, hold up, this looked like an archetype. And lo and behold, when I went back and looked, and I saw it was listed as an archetype, and I was just like, wow, that's deep. So I was like, wow. So as I've been going through the book, been very interactive. But before I go any further, let me talk about what Sacred Contracts is to me, how I take it. Sacred Contracts to me is your assignment, is your purpose. It's like what you agreed to do before you came here in the physical realm. And what Caroline Myss, what she wrote the Sacred Contracts is, she says that a sacred contract um, is gives you the element of choice. For all that the divine provides, you have complete choice about whether to view the provisions as blessings or burdens. You may choose to delay meeting the terms, but you can't avoid them altogether. And I wholeheartedly believe in that. And it's interesting, she also relates it to a legal contract with an element of choice. This is coming directly from her book. But how I view it, is that it's something that you agreed to before you even came into your physical body, and you forget the terms to the agreements, and the purpose is to, in your lifetime, is to discover those parts of yourself. And it's by looking at yourself from a whole view, not just the light, but all parts of you, the darkness. And one thing that I love about this time of reading this book is my ability to see all parts of me, not just seeing what other people did to me and like seeing the negative things in other people, but seeing myself in those people, seeing my light and my darkness, and how it all comes together, and how to accept all parts of that. And that I can, it's important to know those parts of you, to be able to connect with your shadow. This is shadow work. It's about being able to connect with all parts of me and love all parts of me and acknowledge all parts of me, so that I can be able to work with myself as a whole. Like, it's so powerful when you can really sit down with yourself and look at yourself from an objective point of view, and be able to really see yourself, like really see yourself. It's been so powerful. I've been able to answer all of the questions wholeheartedly, authentically, and I've been able to determine my archetypes. I'm already on chat. I can't. I'm looking through the book, but I'm at the point where I've already chosen my archetype. All my archetypes. I have all of my archetypes on on the wheel. I know which houses each archetype go into. You know, and I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself, but I'm at a point where I'm answering like questions for each archetype in which each house that is in. Anybody that's familiar with astrology knows that, you know, we all have our birth chart. We have the planets that go, you know, we have our, you know, particular zodiac signs that go in particular planets. And we also have our houses that each represent something. And we have zodiac signs that go into those houses too, based upon the time and the day you were born. The same thing. It's kind of, she got the archetypical will. I may be pronouncing that something wrong. I'm sorry, but whatever. I'm in the groove. But you know, she has this will, and it's inspired by the zodiac sign, and the zodiac will. And I'm looking at, it's like it tells a story. That's literally what it is. It's like your will tells the story of your life. It really does. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. And it makes me understand why I do the things that I do unconsciously. and why I am my own worst. If I have an enemy, it's myself. It's me against myself, me against my shadow side. And there's this video that I was able to watch of a tarot card reader, and she talks about shadow work. And she said something that answered a question for me as I was going through each of my archetypes. And I was just like, wow, why am I not connected to my child archetype? Because we all have an inner child. And for some reason, when it came to me looking at my inner child in the particular house that it was in, I was just like, why am I so disconnected? Why do I feel like I've been hiding? And then in the video that I was watching about shadow work, the tarot card reader, she said, you know that sometimes our shadow hides behind our inner child, or our divine feminine, or our masculine energy hides behind, you know, our shadow. So when you do not know your shadow or acknowledge it, you don't even realize that the parts of you that really makes you who you are is hidden. I've been hiding from myself, from my own inner child. It's been hiding behind my shadow, and I understand why. When I go through when I go through all of the things that I've experienced in my life and how I've handled it and how I've coped with it, I'm able to see it, and it's just so amazing. And excuse me if I'm going all over the place, but this work has been so amazing for me. Hey everybody, I am back once again. I had to catch my daughter from grabbing something that she did not need to grab. So I am back. And I don't recall where I stopped at, but pretty much in a nutshell, I will say that this second time around third or fourth time around, I don't recall how many times I've read this book, but this third or fourth time that I've read this book is sticking with me. I'm getting it, and that's the thing that I love about books in general, is how you can read a book one time, two times, three times, four times, and learn new things based upon what you have experienced since the last time you've read a book, and new insights, or reading other books and gaining more insight of that in that way too. So I'm going to come back with another video very soon. I just wanted to share once again that I am finally back reading this book after going like 2 years, almost 3 years without reading it. And I really wanted to make a new video, but I think at that time I wasn't ready to read any further than what I've read. And since I have started reading this book back again, I am now on chapter, let's see how many chapters is in this book. And I think I got up to like chapter 4 of reading it in its entirety, but then I think I skipped a chapter because I had to really learn about really figure out which archetypes resonated with me. And I think I skipped over all of that, and I think I went on to learn more about chakras and things of that nature within the book. But I definitely got well past that. I'm on the chapter, and it's called Creating Your Chart of Origin. That's what it's called. The Archetypal Will. It's Creating Your Chart of Origin, chapter number 8. And I've already created my chart. Is more so answering the questions for each archetype that I have chosen for myself. And the method that you go and putting your archetypes in each part of the will is very intuitive. You know what I'm saying? So those areas that we all have, and I guess I'll talk about that in the next video. I'll talk about the archetypes in particular. So that's where we're going to start off with the next video, is I will talk more about the actual archetypes, because we all have the four main ones that the author Caroline Myss talks about in the book. She talks about the inner child, or your child, which is your inner child. To me, I'd say inner child. And then you have different aspects to the child. You have the wounded child, the divine child, and there's other ones too. And you have also the prostitute. We all have that within us. We all also have, and prostitute is just not about, because when you think about prostitution, I think people just think about selling your body for sex, selling your body with sex. But no, it's about selling your soul. It's about staying in places, or staying in jobs or relationships that don't serve you for security. That's part of the prostitute archetype, which is very interesting in itself. Then you have the saboteur, which is the part of you that sabotages things. And mine is interesting. Mine is in my 12th house, of which is that's like unconscious. Like, that's deep. Like, there's times where I'm probably like sabotaging things and not even realizing I'm sabotaging it. Like, it's very sneaky for it to be in my 12th house. And then we have also the victim. We all have that as an archetype, and how that shows up in your chart is very interesting too. For mine, it is. It's very, like, my chart tells a whole story of my life. It really does. It's amazing. So, like, the four archetypes that we all share is the child, is the prostitute, the saboteur, and the victim. And they're neutral unless something within us activates it in a positive or in a negative or shadow way or whatnot. And I'll talk about that more, focusing on the archetypes next video. But that's all for now, and thank you so much for watching. And I will be sharing more about my raw vegan journey, my journey of breastfeeding, my journey of motherhood, and introducing my child to the plant-based diet. She does eat raw too. And I know some people are like, what? But she does. And she's thriving off of it. And I will just share with you all these things that I have been wanting to get out for months, but I just haven't had the time. So you can keep up with me on Infinitenature, on my Facebook at Infinitenature. Or you can go to Instagram, Infinitenature #1. Twitter, Infinitenature #1, Tumblr, Infinitenature, or you can go to loveinfinitenature.com. Even though that's being revamped, that's going to be completely different moving forward. But if you could still go on the website at loveinfinitenature.com. But thank you once again for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.